This video is brought to you by Surfshark VPN. In the world of art, there are many tools an artist can use to bring their vision to life. Markers, pencils, digital art, or even 3D. But there's another way to make art, one that might shape our very future, and that medium is virtual reality. This is the Apple Vision Pro, one of the most advanced and expensive virtual reality headsets in the entire world. And in this video, we're going to be trying to learn virtual reality art and make an epic artwork in just 7 days. So with this crazy VR headset and a massive artwork to create, what could possibly go wrong? Spoiler alert, making virtual reality art is nothing like making regular art. With that, let's unbox this thing. This is by far the most expensive and ridiculous thing I've got for an art video. Oh my god. But I got it so I could share the experience with you guys and make an epic video. So let's not waste any more time and unbox this thing. Oh my god. Straight out of the box, it's just like there. I can actually touch it. Oh my god, I'm so scared. Okay, let's very carefully see what's inside this thing. Okay, so we got the headset. Whoa. Then underneath it we got a very comfy couch. And then, whoa. I have no idea what this is. Ooh, a polishing cloth. Then we got a cushion. Whoa. And then over here in this big compartment, we have what the hell? Okay, as you can probably tell, I had no idea what half of this stuff was for or how it had helped me make art. So I spent the next hour unboxing everything, reading the instruction manual, and finally, it was time to enter virtual reality. Okay, you have to see this. Whoa. Oh my god. Look at this. Oh, where'd it go? Hey. So to move around and select things, you literally like pinch the air and do this. Like what? I can go to Safari. Whoa. Let's go YouTube. Oh, look at this guy. And now I can literally watch YouTube videos in 3D. This is so weird. The real question is, how are we gonna make art with this thing? Well, it looks like Freeform might be their basic drawing app. Let's create a board. Oh my gosh. What the heck? So I can literally draw just by waving my finger around in the air. This looks so ridiculous. But I then spent some time messing around with the headset and tried drawing something with one of the basic apps. But I very quickly found out that drawing in VR is way harder than drawing on paper. So disappointed with my first attempt, I ended day one on a low, frustrated that I couldn't make something cool with this crazy headset. Little did I know that there was another app that was a million times better than that one. For day 2, I was determined to uncover the full capabilities and power of this crazy headset because I was sure that there had to be some better drawing apps and there's just no way I spent that much money to only be able to draw 2D. So I put on the headset, went to the app store and searched up drawing on my floating keyboard, and there were some interesting apps. We had Drawing App Doodle Draw blah, blah, Drawing VR, but the app that stood out to me the most was Air Draw Finger Paint. So I pressed install, opened up a new project, went to an open space, and this was ridiculous. Oh my goodness, look at this. We have our movable palette here. We can select our different brushes just by doing this. Whoa. Painting in virtual reality for the first time was the most unreal experience, and I was genuinely having the time of my life. Oh, that's the chair. But despite how insane this app was, it was still far from perfect. Can my brush not go any bigger than this? Wait, where's the eraser? Wait, what happens if Can I reopen my project? And... my masterpiece, no! Yeah, this app definitely wasn't the one. Sorry, AirDraw. So determined to find another app that I could use to make our epic artwork, I did some research to see what other artists were using to make VR art. And although there actually weren't many examples, I came across this. I found one singular woman who was posting Vision Pro art, and she was incredible. Look at that! And she also included the app she used, Figment XR. Let's go! This better be good. But as soon as I opened the app, I knew that it was the real deal. It had so many more features, more brushes, the ability to erase, and I could even change the brush size by dragging the air. So now that I had found a really solid VR drawing app, I spent the afternoon trying to make my first proper VR artwork, So while I do that, let me tell you about the sponsor of this video, Surfshark VPN. With the amount of time we spend online nowadays, protecting our data and personal information has never been more important, and that's where Surfshark comes in. Surfshark is one of the world's most trusted VPNs and the one that I use when I'm browsing online. It encrypts all your internet traffic, keeping your personal info, data, and browsing history safe, especially on public Wi-Fi. And not only that, but with Surfshark you can also change your virtual location, which helps keep your personal information safe while also unlocking content from all over the world. Depending on where you live, some websites or streaming platforms might be blocked or limited, but if you set your location to the US, for example, you can instantly access shows, movies, and platforms that might not be available in your region. But the part that sold it for me is Surfshark's clean web feature that blocks pop-ups, trackers, malware, and phishing attempts while you're online. So go to surfshark.com/Shrimpy or use code Shrimpy at checkout to get 4 extra months of Surfshark VPN. And you can see if it's the right fit for you completely risk-free with their 30-day money-back guarantee. Thanks, Surfshark. But with that, I had realized that virtual reality art is way harder than I thought it would be. But does that mean I'm gonna give up? Hell nah! I entered day 3 feeling more motivated than ever, because drawing in VR was actually really challenging and it was so fun learning something new. But since my first 2 attempts were pretty catastrophic, I knew I also had to change my learning approach. So this time, instead of going straight into making a full portrait of Evil Shrimpy, I went back to the basics and just practiced sculpting some really simple things. I made an apple, a banana, and I was super proud of how the banana came out. Oh my gosh, look how cute they are! I also made the Mona Lisa. Wait, what? And last but not least, I made a watermelon. And I was actually really happy with how these turned out. So let me know in the comments what we should name these guys. Look how cute the watermelon is. Yippee! And of course, I had to do a little victory dance. But now that I've created something that finally looks decent, I'm feeling pretty confident again. So I think it's time we step it up a notch and draw one of the scariest characters of all time. And that character is Greg. So I wasted no time and spent the rest of the afternoon with one goal in mind: to create Greg in virtual reality and actually make it look good. So I opened up a new project and started off with a thin brush to create a sort of 3D wireframe for Greg. And although this looks really weird at first, you just gotta trust the process with this one. Trust me. But once I had the wireframe complete, it was actually starting to come together. So I then went back in with a thicker, more textured paintbrush and started sculpting Greg's body. But this time I really took my time to make sure there were no gaps, the brush strokes were smooth, and the shape of Greg was as accurate as possible. And to my surprise, it was actually starting to look really good. So I spent the rest of the night adding the final details, and I can now present to you my first VR artwork, Greg. I was so happy with how Greg came out, meaning that day 3 was an absolute success. But that night, everything changed, because after putting away the headset, sitting down and watching some YouTube, my happiness was crushed. While scrolling through YouTube, I came across some other artists who were also making VR videos, but theirs just looked so much better. Not only were they producing masterpieces, but they were somehow filming themselves as they were drawing in VR. So in that moment, because I strive to make the best possible videos for you guys, I knew I had to learn that too. Mixed reality is a way to film yourself inside virtual reality. It's the result of combining real life footage with what I'm seeing while I have the headset on. And although it took me the entirety of day 4 to figure out, you just gotta see this. This is mixed reality and it looks ridiculous. And with it I can now record POV shots like this and these insane third-person shots. And I was very excited about this. But now that we've got the ultimate setup for filming the final artwork, we gotta figure out what that final artwork is gonna be. So you know what time it is. In need for an epic idea for the final artwork, I got out my phone, went to my art Discord server, and made an announcement asking everyone to drop their craziest ideas. And after a couple of seconds, you guys had some very interesting ideas. You guys wanted me to draw super buff Shrimpy, Sukuna fighting Gojo, Sukuna in a maid dress, who is Blurb? But the one idea that was asked more than any other was part 2 of Evil Shrimpy versus Shrimpy. Wait, is that him in the server? So without wasting a second, I started sketching out the epic battle between Evil Shrimpy and Shrimpy in virtual reality. To do so, I first used that same technique I did when I was drawing Greg, where I used a super thin brush to create a sort of 3D wireframe for our characters. This helped make sure that the proportions, shapes, and position of everything was correct before we added any detail or color. And not gonna lie, this was turning out insane. And it was actually so cool to be able to bring these characters to life in 3D. But to make this battle even more epic, I decided to go back in and add an an environment for the two to battle on. On Shrimpy's side, I showed off his water bending skills with a big flowing wave, while on the other side, Evil Shrimpy's red electricity fills the air. But as I went to go and save the artwork and organize the layers, I started to get a bit of a headache. But as I went to go and take a break, it was already nighttime? I guess you could say my head was in another reality. I'm sorry. But that headache wouldn't last long, because after getting some sleep, I was more ready than ever to continue working on the virtual reality artwork. I started off day 6 by creating a new layer, and this time using a lighter blue brush to make a much more accurate sketch wireframe. I did this in order to fine tune the first sketch we made, fix up any areas and shapes that were too messy or just looked too inaccurate. And although the artwork looks really messy and all over the place right now, it was all coming together. As I refined the shape of Shrimpy's water wave and the battlefield, I could really see this piece start to look epic. So with our sketch done, it was now time to create our final layer and begin the coloring process. So I went to my brushes, selected the oil paint brush, and started sculpting Shrimpy and Evil Shrimpy, trying to be as precise as possible. And to my surprise, this was actually looking way better than I could have ever imagined. Brushstroke by brushstroke, the artwork was taking form, and it was actually looking good this time. Even the face! But then something really unexpected happened. As I started seeing everything come together and day 6 came to an end, I actually started to get a little emotional. This challenge really tested my skills and ability to adapt to a new art medium, and it was honestly the most difficult challenge I've ever done. To be honest, at the end of day 3 when I drew those silly fruits, I didn't even know if I'd be capable of making a final artwork by the end of the 7 days, and that really scared me. But despite everything, here we are, adding the final details of one of the most insane artworks and challenges I've ever attempted. So thank you to every single one of you who watch my videos and support me, and thank you to Surfshark for sponsoring and making this video possible. Make sure to join the Discord server, and with that, I proudly present to you the final artwork, Evil Shrimpy vs Shrimpy in virtual reality.
Take this, Shrimpy.
Wait, what? Ow! Ow! Stop! Ow! Evil Shrimpy!